gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome to another Top 10 video. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, we are going to be looking at the top 10 movies that deserve a sequel. This is a list of movies that resonated with audiences and left plenty of room for potential sequels. But despite all that, for various reasons, they failed to make an impact at the box office, which leaves these potential sequels very much in doubt. So, what movies do I think deserve it the most? Well, without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 10. Beetlejuice. It's sometimes hard to believe that this Halloween classic released way back in 1988, and despite the director, the cast, and constant outcries from audiences demanding a sequel, we still haven't gotten one. Sure, if it was left alone, it would be completely fine. It works as a standalone flick and had a happy enough ending. But Beetlejuice has become such a pop culture icon, and the film is synonymous with Halloween. So why not? It makes sense to me. Michael Keaton said back in 2014 that it's the only sequel he's interested in doing, and Tim Burton has said time and time again that he would love to do a sequel, and I know that I would certainly be on board. Number 9. The Adventures of Tintin. This movie released way back in 2011, and there have been rumors of a sequel ever since. Even though it received praise from both audiences and critics alike, it didn't make an absolute killing at the box office, and that's probably what's holding it back. If you've never seen the 3D animated first feature, it is fantastic. It's directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Edgar Wright, and produced by Peter Jackson. Need I say more? The movie was absolutely brilliant, and Tintin isn't a new creation. Tintin was actually first introduced to the masses way back in 1930. The character first started off as a comic book character, with the series spanning 24 issues. On top of that, there was a TV series in the 90s that ran 39 episodes. So there are endless amounts of materials there to pull from to make a sequel. Tintin is one of the most superb animated features of the last decade, and you are doing yourself a major disservice if you haven't seen it. And Hollywood is then doing us a major disservice by not greenlighting a sequel. Number 8. ALITA Battle Angel. Another one just like Tintin in our previous spot that has so much material you can pull from. This movie was based on the original manga with a similar name, instead titled Battle Angel ALITA. And there are a whopping 9 volumes to this series. The issue, once again, like Tintin, is that this movie did not do very well at the box office. But fans of the original manga and general audiences alike adored this movie. Critics were sort of wishy-washy, but this fan base has since blown up and become massive. Just recently, a fan-funded billboard asking for a sequel popped up in LA. With so much passion from a fan base that just keeps growing, I think that Hollywood execs would be out of their mind to not greenlight a sequel to this one. Number 7. The Nice Guys. Look, The Nice Guys has absolutely everything that you would want from a buddy cop comedy. Most audiences were getting tired of this type of flick. It's been done to death at this point. But with Shane Black's dark and witty writing, mixed with the excellent chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, this movie was a hit with critics and audiences, praising that same dark and witty humor and the chemistry of its leads. This movie is already beginning to be considered a cult classic, once again falling into the common theme that you will see lots of in this video of very much underperforming at the box office, only making a worldwide gross of $62 million off of a $50 million budget. Ouch. Nevertheless, with its newfound cult classic status, plenty upon plenty of fans have been clamoring for a sequel. Will it ever see the light of day? I'm not gonna get my hopes up, but I would honestly be more than happy to see these two go on another adventure. Number 6. CHAPPIE. Okay, I know CHAPPIE isn't the most beloved film on this list, but myself personally, I adore it. A lot of people seem to think that Neil Blomkamp has lost his touch. District 9 was a masterpiece, Elysium was so-so, and a lot of people seem to think that CHAPPIE was a bit of a failure. But over the years, and it's popping up on Netflix and other sort of streaming services, a lot of people have grown to love this movie. When it was originally first released, Neil Blomkamp had planned on it being a whole trilogy, but once again, like many others on this list, it underwhelmed at the box office, and ended up costing the studio some big bucks. So they weren't rushing out to give Blomkamp millions more to make 2 more movies. Although it works just fine as a solo film, there is still plenty left to explore. Before we get to the rest of our list, if you're enjoying the video, don't get stuck in that 92.1% who are currently watching this video and not subscribed to my channel. Subscribe now for more content just like this, and while you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And now, back to the video. Number 5. Real Steel. Basically, Rocky with robots. If you haven't seen this 2011 flick yet, do yourself a favor and go watch it as soon as possible. It's charming, uplifting, and heartfelt, and an underdog story well worth your time. Hugh Jackman and Evangeline Lilly, alongside newcomer at the time, Dakota Goyo, brought this film to life alongside its giant CGI robot boxing star, Adam. Sure, it's a bit by the numbers, but if you're not jumping up and down and cheering by the end of it, then I really don't know what's wrong with you. A beautiful yet familiar tale that certainly deserves some time in the spotlight. Once again, not doing great at the box office, but a sequel has been rumored on and off time and time again, with Hugh Jackman and director Shawn Levy chiming in saying that it's still on the table. Will it ever see the light of day? Well, it's been a decade at this point, so I'm not gonna hold my breath, but if Adam and the crew were to come back for another few rounds, then I would certainly be there to watch. Coming in at number 4 is Solo, a Star Wars story. Look, Solo is a fun movie. Is it a great movie? Not necessarily. It's definitely one of the weakest Star Wars movies, but it's a ton of fun. It's very entertaining, and Alden Ehrenreich plays a perfect young Han Solo, and Donald Glover arguably even a better young Lando Calrissian. Just like all of the rest on this list, it very much underperformed at the box office and fell well below Disney's expectations of the Star Wars brand. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve another shot. Coming just a few months after the extremely divisive The Last Jedi, people were pretty much boycotting this movie just because of how mad they were at Disney. But after they actually gave it a shot, they realized that it was really good and they probably should have supported it when it came out. Whether we get a direct sequel or a sequel series on Disney+, either way, I myself and plenty of other Star Wars fans would be more than satisfied. Not to mention, this movie left us with that massive Darth Maul twist ending. How can we Star Wars fans just willingly let something like that go? Number 3. Man of Steel. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League are not Man of Steel sequels. I want a true Man of Steel sequel. One starring Henry Cavill and Henry Cavill alone as Superman. No cameos, no other heroes left, right, and center. Just a straight up Superman story like the original Man of Steel. The guy deserves it. He has been bagged on time and time again since Justice League and the whole mustache thing, but really, he is the best version of Superman that we have gotten, and you can argue it all you want, but it's just the truth. For me, Man of Steel was the pinnacle of the character. They struck that fine line between over-the-top, explosive Superman action. I mean, there's comics where this guy can destroy an entire planet with a punch, but also left room to make Superman a real and relatable character and not just this god mode flying around or this happy-go-lucky Boy Scout. He managed to feel like a real person with real issues. And that's what I love about this movie. Every other Superman movie, he just flies around and maybe lifts a car or something. This felt like real Superman action to me. And it's the first time I've ever cared about the character. And hopefully we get to see a villain that we've never seen before. Someone like Brainiac or Metallo. Either way, a Man of Steel sequel in this current climate of superhero films dominating the box office is long overdue. Number 2, Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow, Live Die Repeat, All You Need Is Kill. I don't know what title it's going under anymore. Either way, this movie was an absolute sleeper hit. No one expected this movie to be so good. Everyone thought it was just going to be another generic sci-fi action flick from Tom Cruise. But it turned out to be so much more. If you haven't seen it, it's basically Groundhog Day on steroids. Because you have soldiers in giant mech suits taking on massive aliens. And it kicks ass. It's so good, and Emily Blunt was honestly the scene stealer here. Now don't get me wrong, Cruise definitely holds his own because he is a fantastic action star, but Emily Blunt was phenomenal. Once again, another one of those flicks that went over well with critics and audiences, but failed to meet expectations at the box office. And once again, a sequel has been rumored on and off again ever since its release. But if the day ever does arrive that we get the sequel, then you can bet that I'll be strapping on my mech suit and running head on into battle with them. And coming in at number 1 is DREDD. I feel that over the years I have been pretty vocal about my love for this movie. DREDD released in 2012 and bombed at the box office, like absolutely bombed, probably the worst on this list, only making a worldwide gross of $41 million off of a $50 million budget. Like a few others on this list, it was based off of an original property, the 2000 AD comics. And DREDD has been in these comics since 1977, so there is a plethora of different stories that they could choose to adapt. Karl Urban absolutely crushed it as the titular DREDD, with Olivia Thirlby holding her own and Lena Headey playing one of the best villains in recent memory. Since then, the movie has also gained a bit of a cult classic following, and there have been countless petitions, which I have signed, hoping for a sequel. And Urban has expressed time and time again that he really hopes that it eventually does happen. Unlikely that it will ever happen because it costs the studio so much, but I think that this is the only one on this list that I would truly keep my fingers crossed for. So that was all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agreed or disagreed with my picks. And feel free to tell me if you think I missed any major ones that should have been on here. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.